to the first bed and breakfast presentation of the afternoon. I'm Taylor Johnson and I am the project manager. This is Jeremy Anderson and he is the web developer. This is Jack Green and he is the software developer. This is Blake Gregory and he is our networker. Jonathan Losey, our ISA, and Clarissa Stoltz was unfortunately unable to make it today due to a sickness, and she is our web designer. Alright, so for the problem statement, Humble Acres Bed and Breakfast presented our team with the challenge of creating a new website with a more personal look that showcases what their product has to offer for their new and returning customers. This will include incorporating the existing calendar system Airbnb has, which is in the iCal format, for booking and developing a payment system that uses PayPal to reserve and pay for rooms. Also, the ability to update prices and images will be added for future changes in the website for proper website management and administration. So our team distilled down everything that was required into these 5 bullet points for the work requirements. First of all, is required is the ability to allow the clients to change text and images with ease on the website. As things are subject to change, new pictures need to be added, the wordage needs to be edited, stuff of that nature. Second, the ability to store and retrieve data from the database housed within the website. Customer information, where they're staying, what they're bringing, how long, when, stuff of that nature. Ability for the customers to reserve and pay for services using PayPal, as is the appropriate method for an online business, and the ability for the website's calendar to sync with the Airbnb calendar, which, as I said before, is in the iCal format. More on that later. And last but certainly not least, is the ability for the website to showcase business social media, as social media is definitely a big thing in all businesses in this day and age. So, what exactly is Humble Acres Bed and Breakfast? Besides the obvious bed and breakfast. Well, it is owned and operated by Bill and Deb Gustafson, and it is located within the Black Hills of South Dakota, near the border of the Black Hills National Park. It is an Appalachian-style log home found on the 12 acres near the National Park, and as someone who has been to the Black Hills National Forest area, it is definitely a lovely and scenic area. And the entire lower level of the home is where the bed and breakfast resides. And of course, here are a couple of pictures to help bring forth exactly where and what the bed and breakfast looks like. Provided by our Deb Gustafson. So, we are the first team presenting for, well, the Humble Acres Bed and Breakfast project. We're not the only team, of course. We are the first team of 2, being led by myself, and the second team being led by Patrick McHenry. So, for the most part, our teams were fairly separate. We both produced our own final product, but we did share information to help overcome those obstacles, problems, and share solutions and other ideas for getting everything to the final stages. We both had Deb as our client contact, and we both met with her on Fridays. So it was a very interesting experience to have 2 separate teams work on a singular project, as there was a big benefit in the cross-communication aspect of it. So, our team had to decide exactly what format we were going to put our website into. There were a few formats like ASP.NET and Drupal that we were looking into, but we nailed it down to 2 options, using WordPress or using static HTML5 with PHP. So, for the pros of WordPress is that it was easy to update and easy to manage. It is easy. When you're going through the website, it's easy to change the pictures, the wordage, all that good stuff. It makes it just a breeze. And along with the fact that it's very customizable with the plugins, and WordPress is used everywhere, so there's a wide variety of plugins too. And, of course, a big thing, user-friendliness. That's a big bonus. But also, the static HTML5 with PHP also had some nice pros with it. It requires very little maintenance. Not much is going on there, so not much to actually maintain. Along with the fact, it's also less resource intensive, so it's not gonna, your computer's not gonna be chugging in order to actually get the website up and running on your machine. In the end, we decided with WordPress, as with the wide variety of plugins, it meant that we did not have to do as much work as if we actually did static HTML5 with PHP. If we did that, then we would have to write a lot of our code from scratch, and why do that when we have WordPress at our disposal? Along with the fact that it's incredibly user and developer friendly, it was a no-brainer for all of us. Now here is the work breakdown structure for the actual project. We're getting into kind of the meta-analysis of the project itself. The project was broken down into 4 phases: the research phase, the preparation phase, the development phase, and the finalization phase. In the research phase, our team spent time researching WordPress, as most of us had very minimal experience with WordPress, so we wanted to make sure that we got all the guides and tutorials we needed in order to actually develop effectively with WordPress. Along with, we needed to also research the database requirements, what actually was going to go into the database, looking into what Airbnb stored, things of that nature. And of course, research website examples. Deb provided us with 5 excellent bed and breakfast websites already, so our team looked them over, asked questions regarding what made them look good, what can we actually copy from them and innovate from them. Then we moved on to the preparation phase. Preparation is a vital part of all projects. With enough preparation, you can make a project much, much easier. With very minimal preparation, you can make a project of slodge to go through. So we wanted to avoid all of that. First, we developed a site map, kind of a construction blueprint in order for all of us to construct the site around. And then using the research from the database requirements, we designed the database, ensuring normalization and effectiveness and the efficiency of the database. And then we needed to actually get the website design down. This actually goes into 2 parts of that, in that we had our resident website designer draw up a couple of design sketches, and then I sent them off to Deb in order to get approval or ask regarding what would you change or want different in these designs. And of course, the biggest part, I would say, is preparing the development platform. In this case, we used Azure. Azure is a development platform so that we can actually have a live development working version of the website, so that when we wanted to see what exactly the website would look like in its final state. Then, moving on to development, the big meat and potatoes of the project. First, with WordPress up and running on the Azure site, we had to get the database developed within it, and then develop the WordPress site itself, the actual site, the front end of the site. First, we needed to create the themes and templates, which we actually did from scratch, and we needed to implement the iCal plugin to help sync the calendars from the Airbnb to this website. And then, of course, the finalization phase, making sure everything is spick and span and works perfectly. In this case, we tested the iCal plugin to make sure that it was indeed working effectively, working correctly. We also tested the database implementation to make sure nothing bad was going on. It was also working well. And then, of course, creating the technical documentation to allow the client to actually be able to go over the website and make sure that they are able to understand the administration and management of the website itself. Every project has risks, and definitely this project is no exception. For the most part, there were things that were bound to happen, like wordage requires some revision, or we need to add some more wordage, or getting additional pictures, changing the pictures, things of that nature. So we kind of let those come in stride, as they were not worth mitigating. We spent most of our time trying to prevent the more dangerous things, such as, well, the scope expanding rapidly, or there's like a coding failure within the PayPal or iCal plugin in installation, as that would definitely set us back quite a bit. Now, the 2 mock-up designs drawn in the beginning. let's see. Clarissa, our website designer, is currently out sick, but I am grateful that she did send me a script of what she was going to read, so I'm just going to read this verbatim. One of my tasks to accomplish over this designing process was to create 2 mock-ups of the site, to give the client 2 different visuals of what the finished website would possibly look like. I wanted to incorporate the Black Hills beautiful scenery of South Dakota into the design, and also add some up north cabin feel. So, to start, I started brainstorming, searching the web, and using Google Images for visual ideas. When I finally gathered enough information, I started playing around with Photoshop, deciding on colors, and seeing which fonts looked the best. So, for the mock-up number 1, I decided to go with a gray background, wooden main page, and a rustic paper layer on top of that. On the right side of the transparent gray material at the bottom of the page is the navigation, and on the left side there are links to apps like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and email. I also added a few decorative details. The screws in the top corners making it look like it was screwed on. There are stitches along the sides of the gray transparent material at the bottom of the page, and a branch of pine needles with pine cones, as I could see there was a few pine forts in some of the pictures the client sent to us. For the second design, I decided to use a scenery, which I found off of Google Images during my research, of the Black Hills of South Dakota as the background. We later changed that in order to incorporate a picture that we received from the client later on. As for the main area, a transparent gray background so you could see more of the beautiful scenery on this page. Navigation is on the left side in white letters, so it's easily to find, and just like Mockup 1, the apps are found at the bottom of the page. The same decorative details are added onto this mockup as well. Stitches on the side, pine needles with pine cones, and of course the slideshow in the middle of each example. Overall, I enjoyed experimenting with my Photoshop talents and learning a lot while designing these 2 examples. The decision was made, and the client, Deb, chose the second example. I must say, I definitely agree with that decision. All right. And here we have Jeremy showcasing the website in action. You can draw it. Certainly.
Hello. So the first thing I wanted to show you was the responsiveness of the website. So the first thing we could do is right click. What's that? Okay, all the way over that box. Nope. Yep. Okay, this is how it'll look when the media breakpoint hits something with like mobile phones where its max width is about 480 pixels. So if you were to view it on a phone, this is basically what you'd be seeing. You can hit it again. See the top there we got here. Cut on. Do the 360. See that arrow right next to it?
Yeah.
Okay, now this is what you're going to see if you were to look at this on, say, like a tablet, like a Surface Pro or something. This breakpoint is about 767 pixels wide. So we kind of thought about the devices that would essentially be seen on it if somebody were to be out and about if they did go to visit and they were in the area and they didn't have immediate access, they'd be able to get online through their phone or tablet and still be able to see where they're at or find any kind of directions. So this would be the home page. You'd be able to see the immediate image carousel, splash images. Just a basic welcoming page that gives a brief about the site. Next we have our location. When it does decide to load, we have some more image carousels and galleries where people would be able to see just the surrounding area and some of the amenities that are provided. Next would be the About Us. And this is where the client is able to talk about themselves, talk about the area, maybe go into a little more detail about the different amenities within the house. And of course, we have our bookings. This is where the iCal plugin is, so it does take a little bit to load quicker. And so this is where, of course, people would be able to see when the available dates would be and start the process for being able to make reservations.
All right.
Am I next? Sorry.
All right.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about the plugins since I mainly handled the iCalendar and then the carousel stuff on the website. Here, sorry, 1 second. Pull it back up. Did you put it out? Okay. All right, we had two of our main plugins that manage the carousel here is the Wonder plugin carousel. It's a very simple and easy plugin to manage the website images if you care to change your web images in the future. You just have to go inside here, go to managing existing carousels. It loads very slow, sorry. And in here, you just can hover over each carousel and you click on the edit button and it goes into the images that are in here. And then simply have to click the edit and then upload any image you'd like into here and then just make sure to hit OK at the end to save it. We included documentation with directions and pictures of this area for further updates, so you don't have to try and memorize what I'm saying here. The other thing was the VR calendar here. This was a plugin we searched a lot at this because this was a key point that you guys wanted to sync up with your Airbnb. And this, when we felt that a lot of the options were that you could book through the website and such, but they didn't automatically sync up with the iCal, so there'd be a lot of double booking going on. This, though, syncs up with the calendar. The only problem, I would say, with the Pro is that it requires a premium version that was unavailable to us to book with. So it automatically syncs up so there wouldn't be any double booking between your Airbnb and this site. And it shows every time you load the page up, it updates your calendar in case someone's literally just booked. The person can refresh the page, it'll update it. That's why it's a little slower in loading on that page. But it does require the premium version for people to book through the website. So at the moment, with this current website, they still have to book through Airbnb, but it would update on there so they can choose. But if you do decide to pay for the premium version of the plugin, it'll give you a PayPal where you can pay for and book everything there. You can set it all up in there to book for. Okay. Did you want to talk about the plugin? Is there anything? Okay. All right. And then the other plugin we managed to put out was just so people can't brute force their way into your website here. It locks them out after 2 times, right?
They can set.
You can set it however you want it to, but it'll lock them out for 2 minutes where they can't do anything here. And we didn't feel like showing that because we didn't want y'all sitting around here for 2 minutes after we got locked out. All right. So I think plugins up next here. So that was the plugins that we used.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Azure, which is a Microsoft product that provides infrastructure as a service and also platform as a service. Some of the things that it offers are analytics, virtual computing, storage and networking. For our uses, hosting and developing apps, web apps and mobile apps. Some of the kind of main features to take away from Azure is its flexibility. It's open, so it basically works with virtually every operating system and framework. The reliability aspect, it's said to be reliable up to 99.95% of the time. And there's also 24/7 tech support available. It's very economical because you only pay for what you use. It's not a subscription where you're going to be trying to charge for a lot of the stuff that you're never going to use on your site. And then also it's global data housing in geosynchronous data centers throughout the world. So, and then also, I didn't add on here, but there also is a lot of backup options as well for just reliability of your data. And so, not much to take away from these slides, but I thought I would kind of just go through some of the configuration. This is a basic, and I don't know if you guys will ever see this, but this is the basic Azure dashboard. I just took a couple of screenshots, and this, it's hard to see, but basically it just shows a lot of your metrics, data in, data out, and kind of who's been in and out communicating with that on your site. So this is, I'll just walk you through kind of how it was configured. It's kind of boring, but it's basic. It's such a basic click through that I read somewhere that you could just do it in like 2 minutes if you could click fast enough. But it's very intuitive and user friendly to create your Azure site to host. Which is, we use WordPress. We're hosting it from here. So basically, you go through your prompts and you can select your URL and the region that you're going to be exploring from or hosting from. And then these are the various apps that you can use. Obviously, the team chose to use WordPress. Here, configuring again, just this is where you would add in the database and also your URL. And then this is one of the final pages where you can add in any of your authentication keys, your encryption keys, your salts. Just stuff for security and encryption. This is also the database. These aren't screenshots from your guys. These are screenshots that I got offline to just kind of go through this. And then your final page in the configuration is creating a WordPress login and password.
All right, so the database for the B&B is actually relatively simple because it's only storing information for the customers, basically just for their record keeping and organizational purposes.
Website. And then it provides, I don't know if you'll be messing around with the short code or the PHP code so much, but it provides that information that you can just copy it and put it in if you want to make a new carousel, which is in the directions we provided as well.
So, in a big project such as this, there's a lot of things to take away from this. For me personally, I learned about avoiding silent response emails. I brought this up with Tracy, actually wondering, would it be all right to actually send a clarifying email saying, yes, I got this email, or would that be too much communication? And that leads on into the second point. There is no such thing as too much communication in a project. It is paramount to have communication of a high magnitude in order to get everything running smoothly. And I was also kind of in charge of sending and receiving emails from a lot of people all the time. And after a meeting, I had so many emails to send out that it was getting to the point where I started writing down who I was emailing and what about, because it was getting to the point where I may start to forget about sending out that one important email, and I definitely wanted to avoid that.
And then I added in that, just remember to bookmark where you put your database so you don't lose it again. That's the lesson I learned mainly from this, is just, remember to save that, especially if you're working with a Zoom.
And accomplishments. A big project, big accomplishments. So I can say for all of us, we definitely came a long ways in increasing our knowledge on WordPress. Setting it up for the Azure site, finding where the database is located within it, everything, creating the themes, all that good stuff. And quite a good thing too, because WordPress is used in a lot of development places, so that's a valuable experience right there. And,
Oh, and just better understandings of the plugins. I had no idea what they were because I had no previous PHP or WordPress experience. I came out with a better understanding, was able to use my knowledge I learned through this project with other projects that I've been doing at the same time. So it's helped me make other websites as well. Thank you.
And for me, it was really getting down to the nitty-gritty and being able to learn how to build a custom theme from scratch right from the ground up without having to rely on making a child theme off a pre-existing theme. And so I was able to really get down to the nitty-gritty as far as being able to build it right from the ground up, as well as plugins, themes, all that that goes with it.
And I also like to give a shout out to Clarissa, who's not here, for developing a well-designed mock-up in the beginning. For the 2 designed ones, we sent the 2 off to Deb, and she just approved the second one right off the back. Really loved it. So I like to give her a shout out for that. And kind of a small thing, but as a group, we couldn't really find a right time where all of us could meet together. Our schedules conflicted in multiple areas, such as things as not all of us were morning students, some of us were also night students. We all kind of not really lived well close to one another. We had some of us had kids, appointments, other personal life matters going on. So it was decided early on in our first meeting that telecommunication was definitely going to be used. And teleconferencing does not really have a good, it's not really known as a good thing because attendance usually tends to drop along with attention, not as much tends to get done. But for us, attendance and attention stay relatively consistent throughout the project, and I like to give our hats off to that because we're the exception to that rule that teleconferencing is a bad idea.
He called from his car and Skype did drove home. We did a good job. I just wanted to give him a shout out. They're like, that's a noise in the background. Now I'm in my car.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Wonderful audience.
Any questions?
Yes.
Oh.
I have a question. You talked about how difficult it was to find the database back.
Yeah, like the back end X. I don't even remember what site it was on. I needed it
Right.
to get the host name and the username to actually, connect to it with and I.
So is it safe to assume that you have it well documented now for the clients or whoever might be working on it for them to be able to
Well,
get to?
I went back into try it again, and it's all different, so I might have to update my documentation because it's different from the first time because Azure must have done an update since the last time I looked at it. So that's the only problem I can see is that it's going to look different each time. But yes, I'll update the documentation so they can have that. I'll just get the bookmark because there's literally just a link that I lost where it's because it's a third-party site that
Right.
Azure. I just got to get that. It'll be easier to do that than going through Azure, I believe.
Yes.
I think that the carousels are really a key component in promoting the B&B because it shows off the scenery and the beautiful site. How did you find the plugin for the carousels?
That was just really poking around through the WordPress. It's not exactly their website. Well, it is their website, but it's wordpress.org, and there's a link that you can follow where you're able to search through all of their plugins. They have a search bar where you just kind of put in what it is that you're looking for, and they've got tons of people that are doing development on different plugins and everything, and so you really get a good variety of things that you can choose from. And this particular one I really like because it had a lot of options, especially on the free end of it, and a lot of the other ones they really provided you with limited functionality for something that was on the free end of it, where everything where you were able to enjoy the robustness of the plugin, you'd have to pay for.
The Wonder plugin makes more than just the carousel too. They have a good line because I looked at their website for other things and they have a lot. They have a slider. I think they had video. They just had a bunch of different plugins that had, like you said, a lot of options for free.
So when you decided on WordPress versus coding it yourselves, is there a cost that then moves on to your client by using WordPress?
WordPress is open source and free to use, so completely free.
All of it? There's not a point where they charge?
WordPress
for-
itself as a format is completely free.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, your only price that you're going to run into is where you're looking at plugins or maybe some premium themes or something like that, and
Or the hosting of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the hosting itself doesn't have anything to do with WordPress.
Right. Was part of that decision an analysis of what it would cost then once you hand off? Is there less cost then for your clients with WordPress because it's open source than there would be if they had to hire somebody to come in and know the code? Did you evaluate that?
Yeah, I would say you're looking at it, like you said, hiring somebody. If they do the straight HTML, they're going to have to hire someone to manage it themselves. Where because of that dashboard that they have, it's a lot more user-friendly for them to manage it themselves. They don't have to hire external help for that, where you can just have the documentation that will provide to be able to manage those carousels, the VR calendar, all that stuff. It'd just be easier for them, and it'll save them some money. Granted, they'll have extra costs with the premium, but I think it outweighs you not having to hire someone, keep someone on staff. They can do it themselves, kind of thing.
Somebody else asked questions, I could sit here all day asking questions. I did have one other question though. When you talked about making the decision, like one table versus multiple tables, were the clients a part of that decision-making process? Did communication take place, or as a team, did you guys make that decision?
I think we made that decision ourselves here. We were given, Taylor talked to them, and I was given what information they wanted, and I thought at first maybe that was, but I just felt that the scope of what the B&B breakfast, I don't think you have a lot of sales associates, you're gonna have people, it was an assumption on my part, basically, is that to narrow it down to where it was just a customer's table so they could track customer information to look up in case they need to, look back in the past at who was there, if someone lost something, kind of thing.
Also, we did utilize looking into what Airbnb track,
Yes, that
and
was
we
it.
incorporated that.
Yes, yeah, what was on there.
All right. Well, thank you.